for joining us this afternoon on our 2023 NCAA Division I Men's College Cup preview press conference. I'm Matt Holmes from the NCAA. I'll be your moderator this afternoon. Just ask if you would like to ask a question in the press conference, just use the raise hand function, and then I'll call on you when it's your turn to go. But we are starting off today with the head coach of the number 5 seed, West Virginia, head coach Dan Stratford, as West Virginia is making its first Men's College Cup appearance in school history. Coach, if you just open with a statement, your thoughts on the Mountaineers headed to Louisville for the Men's College Cup.
Yeah, it's a special feeling, obviously, as an alum of the program. It means that little bit more to see the growth of the program and see where it's come in 20 years. So incredibly proud. And again, the nature of the season and the way the seeding worked out, the capacity to obviously play at home the whole way through and have sold out record crowds for us for the last 3 games has been really, really special, but created a pressure to feel like we absolutely had to get to this point and make a Final Four. Which is a funny thing to say, given the not so rich tradition of this program. So now that we're here, I really hope we're going to enjoy ourselves and be incredibly fearless going into the Final Four.
Excellent. Well, we're excited to have you come to Louisville. We'll open it up for questions. Ryan Decker, you can start us off.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So Marcus was really close to breaking through there on Saturday. Had that really close chance there right in front of the net. How close is he, you think, to getting off this kind of scoreless streak he's on? And do you think that's affected him at all, or is he in a good mindset, you think, heading into this Final Four?
I mean, I think it's hard when he's been spoilt with 12 goals as quickly and as early as he had, of course. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little frustration from that perspective. I think he also understands that there are other ways for him to affect the game and really have a positive influence on the outcome. And I think he's doing a lot of those parts of his game really, really well. Obviously, that may have been the best chance he's had for some time, but he also has to respect that the quality of competition has improved, as well as the amount of attention that he's getting. So, he's going to be one of the first 2 names on everyone's scout. And that comes with a certain adaptation to his game to make sure he continues to become evasive and effective. But yeah, we're obviously continue to step up in quality of competition, and that comes with its challenges as well. But again, I think he's in a good space, and obviously really excited now to still have another game and another opportunity to break that duck and add on what's already been an incredible goal scoring season for him.
We'll go to Mariano next.
Hey, Coach, congratulations again. My question is, obviously the 2 losses have come on the road this season. Now that it's on a neutral site on that road kind of scenario again, what do you feel like the team has to do better to kind of improve or maybe get over the hump compared to the last away games?
I think this is a completely different set of circumstances. We're in a Final Four. We're playing at a magnificent stadium. That aspect of things is going to be brand new for both sets of teams. So I don't think there's too much we can take from the correlation between necessarily the road game losses, if you like, and what we'll have to face when it comes to Louisville. Yeah, look, I think there's far more positives and confidence that we're going to take as a result of the NCAA tournament run we've had so far, and where that leaves us as far as confidence and belief going into the Final Four, as opposed to the prior history of the road losses you're referring to.
All right, we'll go to Kevin next.
Coach, you mentioned a few days ago that you were asking for 2 more weeks from your team, of focus, your mindset, all of those kind of things. Did you have a map planned out for that? If, hey, win that game now, what kind of things will I emphasize going into the College Cup? And then if you should get past the first game, how that would play out going into the finals?
I mean, to some degree, I think it was more to make sure that the occasion and the potential of winning the Elite 8 game didn't necessarily entirely feel like the pinnacle. And that, for some time now, it's kind of been, if you like, historic moment or accolade after accolade, whether it was the 16 win mark or get into the Elite 8 again. And now, obviously, now we make it to the Final Four. I wanted the attention to be on the cumulative of that, right? The holistic being that we want to win a national championship and we have this incredible platform to do so. So the idea of them simply applying themselves the right way for 2 weeks sounded to me quite feasible, quite attainable for the players. And again, we broke that down into how many games, how many training sessions in that period of time, hopefully to help them understand that it's quite a realistic, achievable thing, especially when our standards have been as consistent as they have throughout the season. So what we're asking for is very much something they're capable of. And that will continue, hopefully, if we can get the victory on Friday and then obviously enter the rest of the weekend. But as far as plotting a real specific course, outside of knowing when we would train and then what that meant for the players, no, I wouldn't say there's a huge detailed plan at this stage.
Greg Carey, we'll go to you next.
Dan, you're coming off a game against more of a defensive-minded team. How much different of a challenge is Clemson than what Loyola Marymount was, just in how they play?
Yeah, very different, very different. A different system, a different formation that we'll have to face, and then a team that has an abundance of quality depth, looks incredibly dangerous driving forward and quite aggressive in terms of their intent to progress the game in an attacking fashion. So we're still working through the process of determining exactly where their strengths and weaknesses are, and as a result, what our plan will be. But first impressions are that they're a very well-rounded side, and again, at this stage, you're going to have to play the rest of the best in the country, and Clemson certainly look like that.
Michael Griffith, we'll have you go next.
Thank you. Coach, obviously you guys making history going to your first College Cup, West Virginia. Clemson are going to their 10th, also making some history for themselves. How much does that sit in your guys' minds? Have you talked to the guys about that? Obviously they know what kind of program they are, anything like that?
No, not necessarily. I think Clemson are ahead of us as far as its tradition and obviously the capacity to create the platform where they have sustained their success. We're an aspiring program that want to get to 10 College Cups and have that type of tradition here as well. I think the ambition of the young men that I get to work with here understand that and really feel like the job isn't quite done yet. So as I mentioned before, we know we're going to have to play quality teams. We already have. But whether this was Clemson's first or 10th, I don't know that plays too much of a role when it comes to this weekend. Perhaps you could argue if there's still players remaining from that 2021 group that obviously have that experience, that may play a slight role. But I think right now our guys are just excited for the opportunity, excited to get to Louisville, and looking forward to the capacity to showcase what we can do here at West Virginia.
We'll go back to Ryan.
Dan, I guess kind of on that note, with you guys making your first trip down there to Louisville, obviously the first time playing in the stadium, first time being on the stage, do you or your staff reach out to anyone throughout the sport and just kind of get their thoughts on the best way to attack the week, the best way to attack the field as far as the playing service goes? Do you reach out to anyone and try to get some insight in that regard?
No, I don't think so. I think we've done enough research to know what the surroundings are going to look like and feel like. I actually sent a few pictures to the guys today just to say get familiar with where we're going to be for the next 2 games, right? And making sure that they're reminded that the intent is still to be there for a very long weekend. I think there's other experiences that I have had within the Division II level that allow me to be fortunate enough to have been familiar with this type of platform or stage for now the 6th time, right? We did this 5 times at Charleston in the 6 years there I was there as an assistant and head coach. So it's more the way that you manage your players, the occasion, regardless of the size of the stadium or the field or different things like that. It's the occasion, it's the event, it's the way that you manage the individuals and the group, and do they need added motivation and excitement? Do they need a calming voice in their room? We'll need to make sure we really get our finger on the pulse of how the players are feeling and to kind of react accordingly to put them in the best possible place to go out and really enjoy and embrace what Friday is going to bring against Clemson.
Mariano.
Coach, just on that note about, enjoying the moment, soaking it up, how much do you allow yourself to enjoy the moment, soak it up, because this is your first time there, and it's a historic thing for the program in general.
Not very long is the honest answer. Look, I definitely enjoyed what Saturday was, and getting to the final whistle, and taking a moment to appreciate my own personal journey, right? Like that stadium opened, Dick Delesk opened in 2004, and that was my first game here with the program, just almost 20 years ago. So if you'd have said to me nearly 20 years later that I was going to be the head coach of the program and we were going to be on our way to the Final Four, there was just no way I would have believed you. So I did have a moment to kind of reflect on my own journey in this, and obviously I'm incredibly proud of the players and what this group has been able to achieve. And again, we mentioned it to the guys. There's no way we don't believe. There's no way. We were a 500 team last year that didn't make the national tournament, and now we're in the Final Four. So what is there to fear? What is there to lose? There wouldn't have been many that circled us for a College Cup in 2023. We felt otherwise. We believed that this was part of our process and could be something we could achieve. And as I said, it's making sure that we don't rest on our laurels now, and we really attack the game and the weekend with the intention of trying to win 2 more and bring home a national championship.
Greg.
Sorry, I don't have another question. I just didn't have my.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. We'll go to Michael and then Kevin.
Yeah, Coach, you just have a real quick update on Luke and maybe his chances that he'll be able to go on Friday.
Yeah, I know he was far more mobile today. So X-ray came back clean, MRI came back relatively clean. It's a bit of an ankle sprain. Obviously, he's working overtime to make sure we're reducing swelling and pain. And yeah, today was a more encouraging sign in terms of his mobility and capacity from that standpoint. So definitely day to day at this point. Hard to say whether it's 50-50 or swinging either way right now. But I know he was in good spirits today, and I think a little more encouraged with his capacity and mobility today after what was obviously a challenging second half and that aspect of the weekend, knowing that anytime you see a player who's been with the program longer than I have, one of the last 2 players that I inherited here from the 2019 group, and so influential to this group, so influential with his play. Anytime you see him walk back over to the bench on crutches and a boot, it's certainly concerning. So first and foremost, incredibly pleased that we got through the remainder of the game without him. And again, credit to the depth that we have and the players that came in to replace him. And then obviously even more encouraging that the injury maybe gives him a chance of still playing and having the opportunity to play in the Final Four, because there's probably very few, if anyone, in our squad that deserves it more.
Kevin, did you still have a question?
No, Michael asked my question.
Perfect. Feel free to we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions for Coach Stratford. If anybody else has anything for the head coach of the West Virginia Mountaineers. Ryan, go ahead.
You talked about inheriting Luke there, I mean, him being one of the last kind of remaining players from that group. For him and Jackson and the likes, that this weekend, no matter what happens, it'll be their last time stepping on a college soccer field. What do you think this trip, this moment means for them and that group of players? Again,
being as fortunate as I have to kind of go through this experience with a number of different groups of seniors, it's the best way. It's the only way, really. Again, the alternative is bears no comparison, quite honestly. So I hope they enjoy it. I really do hope that they're able to soak it up and be the voice and be the leader in that room, right? I think they'll be able to look and have the foresight to recognize that they get a maximum of 2 games. Obviously, everyone else has the capacity to come back. So to be nervous or to be fearful in this moment is a mistake, because as I have said to them, I can't promise you that we'll be here again next year, excuse me. We have to really make sure we take advantage of the opportunity that presents itself today and this week.
All right, we'll go to Brian next. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, thank you. So Yutaro Sukata has been on fire, really. He's been one of the hottest players in the nation, 7 goals in 7 games. So how much of a difference maker has he been for you in recent matches?
The biggest difference maker, clearly. As you mentioned, 7 goals in 7 games, and I'm really pleased for him. This year has been a really, really wonderful kind of evolution for him. There was always the talent. You could see some of the qualities last year as well. Inevitably, it can take some time to adapt, and when we give every recruit and every player that we bring in kind of fair warning that it very, very rarely just goes perfectly from day one. So, we had some growing pains with Yataro last year. Again, just adjusting to the consistent quality of competition that you face at the Division 1 level, and certainly in a conference like ours. And it got warmer and warmer, if you like, in terms of his performances. And then this season, he's just kicked on. But I think the biggest difference between last year and this one is just his level of comfortability in our environment, how well he gets on with the rest of the guys. There's a comedy value to Yataro that we didn't necessarily see last year. He's a very, very funny kid, and that's kind of been brought out just as he's got more comfortable in the environment. And I do truly, truly believe that players that are happy, players that are comfortable and confident in your environment, you generally will get the best of them, or have a far better chance to when it comes to the on-field stuff. So we've continued to push him, and I've continued to push him just because you can just see how talented he is. He can do things with the ball that I've not seen at this level, and never had the luxury of coaching before. So you almost get frustrated because there's so much in there and you just want to unlock it and tap into it every single time. But he has improved as far as his continued consistency. And truly one of the biggest things we challenged him with this year was making sure he stepped up in when it really counted in the big games. If there was one criticism of him a year ago, his best moments were in games that were perhaps a little bit more comfortable for us. And I challenged him to be even more impactful in the big games. And if 7 in the last 7 doesn't show that, I don't know what does. So I've been really, really pleased with him and proud of him, and he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Coach Stratford, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon to join us. Safe travels, and look forward to seeing West Virginia in Louisville this weekend.
Thanks, guys.